Hey guys, Connor here with Condor Blue, and today we're going to be unboxing and building the cage for the Sony a7 series of cameras. Let's go ahead and remove the top of the box, and right away we are greeted with a nice little Condor Blue sticker as well as a lifetime warranty card. Once we move that out of the way, the main components are revealed. We have the remote trigger top handle as well as a bottom and top plate as well as some other little things in there. Why don't I go ahead and get everything out of the box so I can better show you how to build this thing. Okay, so I now have everything laid out nice and neat on the table. Let's go ahead and talk about each individual part that you are getting. You have the remote trigger top handle, which I will go ahead and place over to the side because we do not need that quite yet. We have the left plate, the right plate, the bottom plate, and the top plate. Also, because this is for the Sony cameras, we have a link cable. In this case, it is the 2.5mm to the micro USB cable, which we also don't need quite at the moment. And then two tools, which we will need for the screws and also for attaching the Arca Swiss plate to the camera itself. So let's go ahead and start with the base plate. I feel like that's always a good place to start. And what we need to do is we need to go ahead and remove these two black screws from the bottom of the plate. And you're going to use the provided Allen tool to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew these two black screws. And then once you have the two screws out of the way, we can go ahead and start attaching the left and the right side to the base plate, which is really simple. You have this little hole here at the bottom, and you simply slip that in, and then you put in one of your black screws and then tighten that back down. And now that we have the right-hand side screwed into the bottom plate, we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing with the left-hand side. And this is the little hole which you're going to slip in for the bottom plate, and then again drop in the little black screw into the bottom and then tighten it down with your Allen tool. And once you have the left-hand side nice and secure, you're ready to move on to the top plate. Now, before I do that, just take note that the little rubber bit here on the left side needs to be facing in towards where the camera would be. But essentially what we need to do now is remove, again, these two black screws, one on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side, and then we can put on the top plate. So now that I have the two black screws removed from the cage itself, all I need to do now is just place the top of the cage down on the left and the right-hand side, and then again, just simply insert these little black screws and tighten them down. And now that the final screw is firmly placed into the cage, you're pretty much done. This cage has been assembled. Now we just simply need to put in the camera itself and then add on the remote trigger top handle, and you're ready to start recording. And in order to remove the plate, all you have to do is release this latch here on the right-hand side and then press in this blue release button and then pull out your Arca Swiss plate. I'm just gonna set the cage over to the left-hand side so it's out of the way. And then all you need to do is simply place the bottom of the plate to the bottom of the camera. And then using the Condor Blue flathead screwdriver, you're just going to tighten it down to the bottom of the camera so that it's nice and secure. And then once the plate is firmly secured to the bottom of the camera, all you have to do is slide it into the cage very, very easily, and then latch it down again. And if you feel like there's not quite enough tension on this latch, maybe it's a little too loose, it's no big deal. On the bottom plate, there is this little Allen tool held in by magnets, which is pretty cool. And you can use that to add just a little bit more tension to that latch, making sure that your camera isn't going to fall out, it's not going anywhere. And from there, you're more or less done. There's one other thing that you can do to add a little bit of security to this cage, and that's with the Sony cameras, you actually have this little eyelet. And what you can do is you can take your little Allen tool, there's a screw just below the eyelet, which you can remove from the cage and then screw into the eyelet itself. And what you can do is you can actually take this tiny little silver screw and drop it into the eyelet and then tighten it down with that same Allen tool. And basically what you're doing is you're just supplying a little bit of added security, a second point of contact to the cage, and that is going to make sure that it's not going to ever fall out of this cage. And it's also going to support it when you start building this out into more complex rigs. So now that that's tightened down, the Sony camera is nice, safe, and secure in your cage. And the last step to finally finish off your A7 series cage, all we have to do is attach the remote trigger top handle to the cage itself, and you simply do that via the NATO rail on the top. There's also a NATO rail on the left-hand side, if you're shooting some vertical content, but right now I'm not gonna worry about that. All we gotta do is slide it onto the top and then tighten it down using the blue thumb screw. Make sure that is nice and secure. Notice that the top handle is a little bit offset of the camera itself, and the reason for that is so that once you add a lens, you're gonna have a better center of gravity with it being out more towards the heavy side of the lens, and it's going to be a little bit nicer for handheld shooting. And the final step is simply to attach the provided length cable to the top handle and the camera itself, so the 2.5mm end plugs into the left-hand side of the top handle. And for just a little bit of cable management, you can slip the micro USB end underneath the cage, and then you're going to plug that into the left-hand side of your camera in the micro USB port. And one last thing to note is that you wanna make sure that on the front of the top handle, there's this little lever from S to P. Just make sure it's switched over to the S side, S for Sony, and then the top handle will be fully functional with your Sony camera. I hope you guys learned something about how to build your new A7 series cage. If you guys liked the video, be sure to smash that like button and also be sure to subscribe for more information about Condor Blue products. My name is Connor with Condor Blue, and I will see you in the next one.